Hello and welcome to another Tech Spurt Weekly, the tech news show equivalent of an awkward prostate exam where the doctor maintains full eye contact throughout and then finishes with a gentle kiss on the cheek. And this week was a bit of a busy one because Google did a launch and then Xiaomi also did a launch, which was even better because it involved drinking stupidly large beers in Munich. So come, it's time to bundle you into my unmarked van and whisk you away to my basement dungeon of hot tech chat. There's no escape, but then you wouldn't want to anyway, because it's bloody great. Tech Spurt Weekly! So here, finally, after months of teasing, at last we've got the Google Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, and Google's first ever smartwatch, which is called, perhaps unsurprisingly, the Pixel Watch. Unfortunately, while I've got them right here, my sweaty mitts, I can't actually take them out of the box and do any video action with them because I'm under embargo for a few more days. What can I show you? Well, literally the boxes themselves and then static images of the devices within. So maybe have a few whiskies, squint really hard and then jiggle your telly or whatever you're watching this load of bollocks on and just pretend that this is an actual bit of proper cracking full motion video. The Pixel launch offered few surprises given the flood of leaks in the past few weeks. In fact, forget flood, this was a full-on shit tsunami blasting you bukkake style in the face every time you opened your web browser. The new phones are a decidedly gentle evolution over the Pixel 6 series with an upgraded tensor chipset and a slightly more compact finish for the regular phone. We've now also finally got proper face unlock on a Pixel smartphone and some bonus camera bits such as the photo unblur feature. But it is basically the same camera tech, the same underlying specs, and very similar design. The Google Pixel 7 will cost you 599 quid here in the UK, pretty affordable for a flagship smartphone. Meanwhile, if you want to upgrade to the Pixel 7 Pro, well, that's not quite as affordable at £849. And for that extra cash, you do get a few improvements, including a bigger, brighter, sharper screen. You've got a bigger battery as well, and a telephoto camera lens. As for the Pixel Watch, well, that is packed to the tits with fitness tracking jazz, including sensor tech from Fitbit, so you can marvel at just how fast your heart rate spikes after a half dozen espresso martinis. This charming little smartwatch is powered by Samsung's Exynos 9110 chipset. It runs Wear OS, which was co-created with Samsung. It comes in a small selection of colours, no real surprises in terms of the specs, especially as most of them had already leaked. And yes, Google did say that the Pixel Watch has all-day battery life, which means that you will be charging it every friggin' day. And the Pixel Watch comes with a 6-month free trial of Fitbit Premium, giving you almost 1,000 different workouts and almost 500 different mindfulness sessions to piddle about with. However, you will start having to stump up a tenner a month to continue using that premium service after the half-year free session is up. Or you could just accept that, hey, we're all going to die one day, there's nothing we can do about it, and just put that money towards whiskey and fags instead. Forget being mindful, I'd rather just have a skinful. Anyway, I'll have you full unboxings and reviews and all kinds of other shenanigans coming at you from, when is it? October the 12th at 6 PM precisely, so that's next Wednesday evening. This week we also had a big ol' thigh-slapping tech shindig from Xiaomi, complete with the deliciously 90s tagline of Make Moments Mega. The star of the show was the batshit awesome Xiaomi 12T duo, both boasting proper flagship specs including fancy pants, 120-watt fast charging, lush AMOLED screens, and the kind of power that He-Man likes to constantly screech about like the floppy head show-off he is. Yes, we get it mate, you've got the power, you're a big lad who likes to lift. Now maybe walk those tree trunk legs of yours down to the barbers and get yourself a do that isn't shit. Oof, you bastard! The regular Xiaomi 12T sports MediaTek's beefy Dimensity 8100 Ultra, while the 12T Pro packs in Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. Both of them are beefier than a beef pie and they'll definitely do the jobs for your Genshin Impacts and all that kind of shenanigans. If you fancy some 200 megapixel camera action, the Pro is the one that you want. I've had a bit of a tinker and it is rather bloody lovely, spaffing out shots like this, and a bit of this right here. And meanwhile, the regular Xiaomi 12T makes do with a mere 108 megapixel snapper. Haven't tested that one out yet, but I'm sure it'll do an absolutely fine job for everyday snaps. And the great news is that both the Xiaomi 12T and the 12T Pro come with 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security updates, which is rather bloody good for Xiaomi, certainly, and the pricing is right on point as well because the regular Xiaomi 12T starts from just $499 or $399 if you grab it in the early bird deal, and meanwhile the 12T Pro starts from $699 or just $599 with that early bird offer, and you even get a free bloody tablet chucked in. And to celebrate your new purchases, you can take all that money you've saved, go down the local booze cellar and get yourself about 8 crates of Skull Lager. So fair play to you, Xiaomi, you absolute wonder bastards. The tablet, what I was just banging on about, is the fresh new Redmi Pad, a 10.6-inch Android special that'll cost you £269 when it goes on sale, or you can get it free with that Pro. The metal unibody design feels more premium than you would expect at this budget price, though the Redmi Pad also sports a basic 90Hz LCD panel rather than OLED tech. But it is fine for watching shit like some talentless slaphead on YouTube, especially with the punchy quad speaker setup. You've got a sizable 8000 mAh battery with a not particularly nippy 18-watt charging, and a MediaTek Helio G99 running the show as found on a few Poco and Redmi phones. And you'll be able to grab the Redmi Pad in silver and a lively mint finish, but graphite grey is really where it's at if the thought of happy colours makes you want to puke your guts up. Us Brits are also getting the Xiaomi Smart Band 7 Pro, which is one of those fitness things what tells you to stop being a lazy c*** and actually stand up every hour or so, until you finally find the option hidden away in the settings and turn the bastard off. It's the full-time companion that never leaves you apparently, so kinda like gonorrhea, except with less itching and more colourful accessories. That 1.64-inch AMOLED screen is an absolute stunner. You got full-on fitness tracking including SpO2 and heart rate monitoring, and support for over 100 different types of exercise including, yes, playing board games. I'm still waiting for them to add lifting pints to this list and then I'll officially be a sportsman. The Xiaomi Smart Band 7 Pro is available right now and it will cost you 85 quid. So that right there, kiddies, was the two big tech launches of the week and all the tech news I could be bothered to actually cover. So now it's time for the part of the show where nobody's actually watching because everyone's already buggered off to do something apparently more valuable and important with their fleeting time on this miserable little planet. So I may as well just sit here and read dirty limericks that I found online. But, you know, because I'm still pretending that this is a legitimate show with actual viewers, let's do viewer comments. Viewer comments. So first up, Man Like I says, anything with Eric Cantona in it is an instant like. Yeah, you really can't go wrong. I've actually seen a couple of his movies as well, and he's usually proper good value in them. I can't remember the names of any of them. He was like a very podgy detective in one, I seem to recall. I guess if you really like pies, it's probably best to swap from a career as a professional footballer and become something like an actor instead. Filmography, what the hell was this thing called? The Overeater? That sounds like potentially the one. Hang on. Eric Cantona did a film in 2012 called Porn in the Hood. Do I dare click on this? I mean, no, I don't. Next up, David says, reckon you're onto something, Chris, with rocks and panini stickers being the new currency. How will you feel working with Jacob Rees-Mogg when you get the Chancellor gig? How would I feel about working with JRM? I mean, the first thing I would do is call in the f***ing Exorcist to get rid of that absolute ghoul once and for all. I mean, you can tell we're in a pretty dire situation in this country when I would happily welcome back Theresa May as PM with open arms. I would personally organise a celebratory welcome back smash with balloons and apple sours, the whole shebang. I'd sit there in eager expectation and listen to all of her crap anecdotes about running through wheat fields as a kid or whatever. So the meat fill-in of last week's Tech Spurt Weekly pie was Samsung's upcoming S23 phones. I say upcoming, they'll probably be launching early 2023. So we had lots of comments on those wee buggers. RMG1 says, honestly, the Samsung S series hasn't had a major upgrade, especially in design, since the S20 from the early 2020. Pardon me, kiddies. Right before all the COVID bollocks. D-Rex says, honestly, the S23 only needed a more efficient chipset. Everything else was perfect. That's why I passed on the S22 Ultra and I'm waiting for the S23 Ultra. Yeah, hard to argue with either of those really. My favourite S-series smartphone in recent times was the S20 Fan Edition, the FE model, because I had the Snapdragon chipset, so more efficient, etc. And also it wasn't ridiculously batshit mental expensive. So yeah, in the new S23 series, if they do come with Snapdragon instead of Exynos here in the UK, it will actually feel like a major upgrade, especially on the regular S23, because you've got that more efficient chipset, means the battery life won't be quite so bloody terrible. Hopefully. I mean, the S22, Jesus Christ, that thing died quicker than my enthusiasm at remaining alive every time I saw James Corden's f***ing face on the TV. You Can't Have My Name says, I don't like Apple by any means, but Samsung's marketing team has to be a joke. Constantly Samsung makes fun of Apple for incremental improvements, rightfully so, but then Samsung does the exact same thing. Yeah, I know what you mean, especially when it comes to removing key features, like for instance the headphone jack, micro SD memory card storage, the frickin' SIM tray will probably be the next thing to go, although God, I hope not. Tarek says, what I like about the S22 and the S22 Plus bump is that it adds a second shade to the colour of the phone so it's less bland. Yeah, I know, right? That ultra back is about as sexy as a slightly squashed Cornish pasty. Swallowing the Rabbit Hole says, more proof of the inevitable future for smartphones. It used to take a year or maybe two for gigantic, compelling changes to be made to a smartphone. Now it's looking closer like 4 to 5. How many years of updates the company gives you will become more and more relevant, as phones will hold their life for longer due to the fact that there simply isn't any good reason to upgrade. Yep, case in point with Xiaomi with its new 12T and 12T Pro offering several years of security and OS updates, which is great news, I guess. That means that, hopefully people will be using their phones for longer. That means, you'll be spending less cash and there'll be less wastage as well, chucking away a phone and getting a new one every couple of years. It's just also going to make things kind of boring as for us tech reviewers. But here we'll always have whiskey, I guess. Mr. Thin says, I don't know about the eSIM shenanigans, not too sure how secure it'll be and how reliable as far as connectivity goes. Well, I have used eSIMs a few times, for instance when I've gone on trips abroad to like America or somewhere where my home data package isn't covered. It tends to work out cheaper to just get an affordable eSIM that uses the local networks. As for the strength of the connection, well, that's exactly the same as with normal SIM cards. It'll just depend on what network you're connected to, where you are in a crowded metropolitan city or some fucking swampland somewhere. The major bottleneck will be that generally once you've activated an eSIM on a smartphone, you can't then swap it to another phone, unlike with a SIM card. Just get your, bit of paper clip or whatever, get it out, get into another handset. So for people like me who tend to swap devices, 50 times a year, it's going to be a bit of a ball ache. Next up, Porsche says, has Samsung reinforced the S23 phones to hold in the swelling batteries? Okay, so yes, there's been quite a bit of chat in the comments actually about this recent internet furore around Samsung smartphone batteries exploding and gushing acid and all kinds of stuff. This is a problem that most people will never be affected by, because it's basically if you leave a smartphone in a box, untouched and unloved for years, we are talking about here, then there's a chance that yes, that battery could swell and basically the device is completely fucked. However, it's not just Samsung smartphones that this happens to. I've seen it happen with other phones that I've reviewed and then stuck in a box and literally forgotten about for 3-4 years, come back to, and it's busted. It actually happened to my old PSP as well, which I was absolutely fucking gutted about. It was literally a down on my knees, shaking my fists at the ceiling moment. Why? I just wanted to play Burnout Legends one more time. So anyway, yeah, just remember, rather than bunging your phone back in a box and chucking it away in a drawer somewhere, just recycle it or give it to somebody else who will, make use of it. Problem solved. Next up, Martin S says, I swear to God this Tech Spurt Weekly hasn't even got any tech news in it. I mean, that comment could have literally come from any episode that I've done. Sicko Channel says, I've had the Huawei Mate 20 Pro pretty much since launch and never had any issues with it. Cracking phone that was. Dropped it I don't know how many times, no cracker marks inside. I'd love to upgrade to the new Mate 50 Pro, but I really don't understand why us Brits have to suffer without Google features due to the Yanks. That's right, you pesky bloody Yanks coming over here and taking all Google features. Tony K says, I forgot to turn the volume on and pretty sure I missed nothing. Yeah. Cheers, buddy. I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment. Boybot26 says, is it worth getting the Nothing Phone 1 or should I wait? Or are there any other better budget phones? Yeah, now that it's had a couple of updates which have solved some of those early issues with it, it's a pretty cracking mid-range smartphone. Definitely it's got features like the IP water resistance and the wireless charging, which you'll struggle to find on many other phones at this sort of price. Overall quite likeable as long as you don't mind the fact that it's a big bulky bastard and you've got those weird ass disco arse lights. If you want to see the very best alternative options to the Nothing Phone around that sort of price point, I highly recommend my best mid-range smartphones video roundup, which I did recently. It's an absolute fucking barnstormer, if I do say so myself. Andrew C says, do you know why Sony doesn't market their phones as much as other companies? I think they've got one of the best phones, especially for music, video and photography lovers. Yeah, their marketing really does need some help. Their main problem is obviously they don't feature any Tech Spurt quotes on the posters, because I'm throwing absolute diamonds at them. Like, if eyeballs could spooge, they'd be gushing all over this gorgeous new Xperia. Delivering absolute gifts like that, hand wrapped to them, and nothing, not a sniff. But yeah, as you say, they appeal to a wide range of people, movie fans, music lovers, gamers, DSLR fans and everything, but they are still seen as quite niche, probably because of the price, probably because that camera tech is quite sort of restrictive. Let's face it, most consumers just want a point-and-shoot device, zero hassle, and they just want whatever shiny shit they've seen on the telly, which is inevitably Samsung and Apple. Anyway, massively running out of time and also battery on this laptop, so I better make this the last one. Etienne says, for pre-orders of the Spurt Phone 1, you could offer an exclusive case that is basically just a Mr. Wang sock. Now that is a bloody good idea, you know. Where do you think you're gonna shove that smartphone then, you drooling skull face? Oh no, this is blatant sock abuse, you dirty bastard! I'll rip your fucking balls off with my teeth, you filthy crotch sniffer!
This is about next week.
So next week, of course, the Google Pixel embargo lifts, so I can actually take these things out of the box and show them to you and stuff. Revolutionary. So yeah, if you follow a lot of tech channels, your feed is going to get very, very busy at 6 p.m. next Wednesday. Next week, we've also got a Microsoft launch, tablet-y laptops, whoop. And that's also happening next Wednesday at 3 p.m. So yeah, perfect timing, Microsoft. Hope you weren't expecting too much coverage from that. And then bad news / good news, depending on what your stance on this particular show is, but there will be no Tech Spurt Weekly for a couple of weeks, I'm afraid, as I am buggering off. I plan to spend most of the next fortnight completely unconscious and oblivious to whatever else is going on in the world. Absolute bliss. But don't worry, there'll be plenty more stonking tech content going live on the channel in my absence. So if you haven't already, please do plug, subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Please do smash your comments down below as well, and we'll cover those off on the glorious return of Tech Spurt Weekly in about 3 weeks' time. Have yourselves a pig and wonderful weekend. I'll see you on the flip side. Cheers everyone, love you.